Mr. Obado.
They know.
How are you doing?
Very well.
Nice seeing you.
Nice to see you, man.
Here's
Yeah,
Gilbert.
Karibu, karibu, man.
So here's Gilbert I was telling you about.
Yes, okay.
He runs Rusty Kitchen,
Oh.
a catering business.
All right.
So I want you guys to have a sit down so that you can just teach him some business lessons from your experience.
That's all.
So me, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to leave you guys to have the conversation. Yes. I'm going to sit down and enjoy your meal here at Cafe Deli.
Sawa, karibu
Sawa,
sana
sawa.
Cafe Deli, my friend.
Get the best out of it.
All right.
Thank you very much for creating time to have a conversation with me. As I said earlier, I'm Gilbert. I have set up a catering company called Rusty Kitchen. So I'm trying to get the nitty-gritty of running my own business. As of now, I have set up this Rusty Kitchen. It's running well, but I have exhausted my funds. So which is the best alternative you can advise me to, let's say I want to expand and set up a restaurant like this, which is the best source of funding that I can get?
Well, the best source of funding is usually cheap money. Now, cheap money, just like any money, anything, money has a price. And cheap money comes from either when it comes from yourself, because you don't have to pay with an interest, or from friends. But when you start going into expensive money, when you start going into interest, money with interest, then it becomes tricky and pressurizing for you. In the beginning, I would advise that you put back all the money that you're making, all the profits. Don't share out the profits. If you make 100 shillings as a profit, if you have to share it with yourself, then please do put 50 to 70% back to business.
I'm doing this business with my wife and my brother. That's the core team. Have you done business with family?
Yes, I have, but not at high levels of management. I've employed them at lower levels, and I've had issues. And sometimes they have a tendency of having power that they think they have that they don't, because of course they are related to you. So I advise very much that we avoid family if you intend to go corporate, because if you have an issue at home with your wife and you come to work, chances are this thing will manifest.
It will spill.
So it always does. So I have tried to avoid that situation. If my wife wants a business, I'll open her own business and I will help her run her own business. But my business will be my business.
As a startup, one of my major challenges is getting the costing question correct. It is really nagging me, and it has reached reached a point where when I'm charging a client, the client says your product is expensive or your services are expensive. But now I'm here trying to
balance.
Yeah, trying to balance. What would you advise me to do?
Well, all businesses across board have the same tendency, and costs are costs. They have to be taken care of. Now, when we start with 100%. In a food business, you can only use 40% of the total revenue for food cost. That is if the business is not doing so well. You are allowed up to 40%. Because up to 40%, the moment you go beyond 40%, you've started getting into losses.
I'm doing 50 at the moment.
Yes, you're actually making losses. That's the real truth. Now, 40% goes to food cost. Rent is supposed to take less than 10%. So if you go anything beyond 10%, you're not doing well with rent. So people take up business premises, and they end up doing way beyond 10%. Already they've gone
At losses.
at losses. Then labor should never go beyond 20%. Labor is a big cost in business. So labor should never go beyond 20. So we are already at 70.
70.
70%. Then we have administrative costs, overheads, fuel,
Utilities,
licenses, all this stuff. This usually is about 10 to 20%. So if you look at this, in real truth, businesses actually only make about 10% of profit.
Yeah.
Now, out of this 10% again, the government comes in to take
Tax.
30% as corporate tax.
There's catering levy.
Yes. No. I started with 100%. Catering levy and VAT makes 118%.
Wow.
So when you have 100%, I'm talking net of catering levy and VAT. So that is already out. But when you're coming to now the 30%, we're talking about corporate tax, which you do at the end of the year. So if you don't play around within the 100%. If your food cost gets to 50, 60%, then you are unable to take care of these other costs. So at the end of the day, you're making losses, and you think you're making money. So you have to make sure that your food cost, and that's where most businesses in the restaurant business go wrong. If you don't sort out the food cost, you're done. So what you need to have is delayed gratification.
How?
You need to practice delayed gratification. You need to practice the fact that you will not make money now. You will make money in the future. So build the brand. Spend money to build the brand. Do not try to make this money now. It will not come. It takes time. A lot of times it takes 5 to 7 years to be able to start making money. So you have to be patient.
Would you advise me to get a car for a van for me to do transport? To not transport as in commercial transport, but to be carrying my equipment? Because at the moment, transport is taking a huge chunk of the money that I make.
Well, no, absolutely not. Why? Because you are doing catering business. Catering business means food and cocktails and drinks. That's your core business. Why do you want to go into another business? Because transport is another business, totally. Don't go into any other business. Stick to your core business. Get suppliers who are already established in the transport business. Get someone you can trust, a supplier you can trust. Negotiate, because one of the most important things in business is your skill in negotiation. If you don't know how to negotiate, you'll never do any business. So negotiate with these suppliers. Let them give you the best possible price, so that if you assure them of constant business, they will give you a good price.
Doing this catering business, I only have the food handler certificate for me and my staff. Do I need any other license or certificate that I might need, or that I need at the moment?
Well, yeah, there are several licenses that you will require, and that's why I told you at one point that you're going to have a 10% administrative costs.
Yeah.
Those administrative costs include licenses, and licenses in the city are quite a number. For example, when you're doing catering, One of the things, the most important things in the kitchen is that we're going to have fire extinguishers. So you're going to have a fire license because you cannot put a fire extinguisher without a fire license. That's a must. Then, of course, now that you have medical
The food handlers.
food handlers certificate, that's good. And then, of course, you have to have the business license, which currently has at least been consolidated. There are quite a number of other licenses that are in there, but you have to have that license, which is extremely important. Actually, if you are lucky, you'll still be able to be in business without it. Normally, you must, and it's best that you do it this month, so that you don't have issues when you're doing your stuff and the city county guys come to have issues with you. So those are very, very important, actually.
Thank you very much for creating time to talk to me, to give me insight, to give me wisdom that I otherwise wouldn't have received.
Great. Of course, I'm happy to have met you. I'm happy to mentor one or two people. It helps out.
After meeting up with the business coach and the CEO of Cafe Deli, Mr. Obado, I have learned 3 key takeaways. 1, to focus on what I do best, catering. Leave the other transport, how to organize this and this. Let me focus on the catering business. The other is to get my training, my staff relations right, to do my staffing right, train them from the word go. The other is the source of funding. Before I go for the expensive money, let me first get the cheap money and grow my business. Those are my 3 key takeaways.
Thank you so much for having watched The Business Coach. Hope you've learned a thing or two from the conversation with Obado on how exactly to set up and run a proper food business. Please share with us your feedback on social media. The hashtag is KTN Business Coach, and also follow us on our handles at Ian Dennis Network across all platforms, as well as at KTN Kenya. And also on Wednesday, you can always get to read an article on the hustle, so grab a copy of the standards. Until next week, keep it right here on The Business Coach, where we help entrepreneurs better establish their business.